feeling like the world's accelerating and maybe your brain's still stuck in first gear. Does that mountain of AI-generated data, the constant updates, does it make you wonder if your current thinking habits are actually, enough to thrive in 2025?
It's a real concern for a lot of people.
Yeah, what if the biggest hurdle isn't really the speed of change, but maybe your own mind needing a bit of an upgrade?
Well, you're definitely not alone in feeling that way. The truth is, navigating the complexities of 2025, well, it just requires a more deliberate, a more advanced approach to how we actually think.
Okay.
And look, we've got a fantastic resource to unpack today. Advanced Brain Training. Brain Train Your Way to the Top by Simon Wootton and Terry Horne.
Right.
Forget just doing endless puzzles. This book, it really dives into practical strategies for what they call advanced applied thinking.
Advanced applied thinking. Okay.
Yeah. So consider this our deep dive, kind of your express route to the crucial, actionable insights from the book. And we've tailored it specifically to give entrepreneurs and, ambitious folks like you a real edge for 2025.
So what's the goal here?
Our goal, it's really to arm you with a concrete way to sharpen your mind, make those crucial decisions with, hopefully, greater clarity and confidence.
Okay, let's get into it then, because the sheer volume of information heading our way in 2025, wow, it's enough to make anyone's head spin.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking AI insights dropping constantly, markets shifting super fast, that 24/7 news cycle.
It's relentless.
Yeah, and the book introduces this idea, moving beyond just being a sponge for data, right? And instead focusing on CAPTA, information that's been strategically filtered and is actually useful.
Exactly, CAPTA, stuff you've captured for a reason.
And they've got this neat framework called the 3 I's: information, inference, and implication.
Yes, the 3 I's. And what's fascinating about them is that they really push us to actively engage with what we're seeing,
Yeah, right, not just passively soak it up.
Precisely. Because in 2025, with all that information flying around, some good, some questionable, just passively taking it all in, that's a recipe for being misled or just plain overwhelmed.
Makes sense.
The 3 is offer a structured way to become a much smarter consumer and user of knowledge.
Absolutely. So let's dig a little deeper into each of these then. Information, it's not just about seeing a headline or reading a report, is it? It's about really questioning what's in front of you.
Yeah, the book really hammers home the importance of critical thinking here.
So as we look at information relevant to 2025, say a new market analysis or an AI trend report, what are some sharp questions we should be asking?
Well, this raises a vital point about trust and validity, especially now. The book prompts us to really scrutinize the source. Who created this piece of information?
Right.
What might be their underlying motivations? What assumptions are they making that maybe don't hold true for your situation in 2025?
Good point.
And crucially, what perspectives or maybe what data might be missing entirely? In an environment where deepfakes and manipulated info could become even more common.
Which seems likely.
Cross-referencing with multiple reputable sources isn't just a good idea anymore. It's essential.
Right. You really can't just accept everything at face value, especially with digital manipulation getting more sophisticated as we get closer to 2025.
Okay, let's move on to inference. This work is really interesting, yeah. Moving beyond the raw facts to figure out what they actually mean.
Yes. And what's valuable here is the book's encouragement to think really broadly, creatively even.
Yeah.
Once you've got information you feel you can trust, resist that urge to just jump to the first conclusion that pops into your head.
Easier said than done sometimes.
True. But instead, try to brainstorm as many potential meanings and insights as you possibly can. Ask yourself, what are some less obvious interpretations? What unexpected connections could there be between these pieces? This stage really calls for both your analytical and your imaginative muscles. So it's about seeing patterns that aren't immediately obvious, maybe connecting seemingly unrelated dots. Okay, and then we arrive at the final I, implication. Taking those insights and turning them into real-world actions for 2025.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the book really wants us to move from just understanding to actually doing something.
Right, the action part.
Based on the inferences you've drawn, what concrete steps can you realistically take in 2025? And this involves not just thinking about the outcomes you want, but also thinking through the potential ripple effects, the possible roadblocks, and importantly, how much control you actually have over the situation.
So it's asking, what's the most effective path forward? What actions are most likely to give us the results we want, specifically in that 2025 context?
Yes.
The book uses the example of someone like Sam Altman navigating the, super fast-paced world of AI development.
Yeah, and what's insightful about that example is how a leader, right at the cutting edge of this transformative tech, constantly needs to assess where different viewpoints are coming from, draw really wide-ranging conclusions about the societal consequences of AI, and then formulate practical plans related to everything from research priorities to, say, public education and policy discussions. It's a really clear illustration of the 3 U's being applied to a very, very 2025 relevant challenge.
Okay, so that's a solid framework for navigating the information tsunami. But the book also stresses something that maybe it seems fundamental, but we often overlook it when we're focused on mental performance, our physical well-being.
Oh, absolutely crucial.
It makes a strong case that our brain is incredibly energy hungry, and its physical condition directly impacts our ability to handle complex thinking, which, as we're saying, is going to be critical in 2025.
It's fascinating, isn't it? That direct, undeniable link the book highlights between our physical state and our cognitive capabilities.
Yeah.
Just think about the increasing mental demands of 2025. Juggling multiple projects, maybe processing information from AI assistants, collaborating with remote teams across different time zones. Our brains need to be in top physical shape to avoid mental fatigue and just maintain peak sharpness.
So what's this 2025 brain boost action plan the book lays out? It sounds like it goes beyond just recommending, brain games or something.
Oh, definitely. It champions a really holistic approach. First, it's about optimizing fuel.
Fuel for the brain. Okay.
Think nutrient-rich foods that support the chemical messengers in your brain, those neurotransmitters, right? They're vital for focus, memory, especially when dealing with that flood of 2025 information.
So what kind of foods are we talking about?
The book specifically mentions the benefits of things like phosphatidylcholine, B vitamins, key minerals like magnesium, zinc, iron, boron, stuff you find in nuts, seeds, leafy greens, fish.
Okay, the healthy stuff.
Yeah, it even suggests smart protein snacking throughout the day. And get this, a small amount of dark chocolate for a bit of a cognitive lift.
Dark chocolate, I can get behind that. Okay, so fueling up, right? What's the next element of this physical brain boosting strategy?
Next up is boosting blood flow, and that comes through regular aerobic exercise.
Makes sense.
The book points out that even just 20 to 30 minutes of exercise most days can significantly enhance thinking performance. It improves oxygen delivery to the brain, that essential fuel for sustained mental effort in our demanding 2025 environment.
So get moving to get thinking. Noted. And what about the one thing we all know is important but often sacrificed when we're busy?
You're spot on. Prioritize sleep.
Knew it.
The book is crystal clear. Not getting enough sleep isn't just about feeling groggy, it actually impairs your cognitive abilities. It puts your brain into a less flexible, more kind of robotic mode of thinking.
Right, which is the opposite of what you need in 2025.
Exactly. In that rapidly evolving landscape, being adaptable and insightful is key, and skimping on sleep just undermines that completely. The book frames sleep as essential training for your cognitive functions.
Okay, treat sleep like a performance enhancer, not a luxury. Got it. And the final piece of this physical tune-up is something called brain tuners. What are those all about?
These are pretty cool, actually. There's simple exercises that involve coordinating both sides of your body, what the book refers to as cross-lateral movements.
Cross-lateral? Like what?
Think of things like juggling. Maybe using your non-dominant hand for everyday tasks like brushing your teeth, or even just simple exercises that get your left arm and right leg working together, then vice versa.
Oh, okay.
The idea is that these actions can help integrate activity across both hemispheres of your brain. The book suggests doing these for as little as, say, 30 seconds, as a quick way to reset your focus when you're switching between tasks during a busy 2025 day.
Interesting.
It's about promoting more integrated thinking for better problem solving.
That's a really practical and, almost surprisingly simple tip. The book uses the example of Roger Federer. Even though he might not have been consciously doing these brain training exercises, the underlying principle holds, right? His incredible dedication to physical excellence undoubtedly contributed to the mental resilience and strategic thinking he needed.
Absolutely.
And that same principle applies to the mental demands of navigating entrepreneurship and life in 2025.
Precisely. A sharp mind truly does need a strong physical foundation. Okay, now let's shift gears a bit and talk about how the book helps us navigate the inherent complexity of 2025. And that's through the lens of systems thinking.
Systems thinking, okay, it sounds a bit theoretical, maybe, but the book positions it as absolutely vital for understanding how interconnected everything is as we move towards 2025.
Yeah, it can sound abstract, but what makes systems thinking so valuable is that it provides a framework for seeing how different parts of a situation influence each other.
Right.
In 2025, so many of the challenges and the opportunities too are interconnected. Think global supply chains, digital platforms, remote team dynamics.
Yeah, everything affects everything else.
Exactly. So trying to solve problems with just a simple cause and effect mentality just isn't going to cut it. You really need to see the bigger web of relationships.
So how do we actually start applying this idea of systems thinking according to the book? Can you give us like a simplified approach we can use for those tricky 2025 situations?
Sure. The book breaks it down into manageable steps. First, you frame the problem.
Okay.
Identify the specific situation or decision you're dealing with in 2025, but try to define it not in isolation, but as a system that exists within a larger context.
Okay, so take a step back, look at the wider environment. What's next in mapping out this system?
Next, you map the system. Create a basic visual representation. Think of it like drawing some circles or boxes, maybe, to represent the key elements involved.
Like what kind of elements?
Could be your different teams, key processes in your business, external market forces, your customer segments, even the AI tools you're integrating, whatever's relevant.
So visually laying out all the key players and components. Got it. What comes after that?
Then you connect and label. Draw arrows between these elements to show how they influence one another. And this is a crucial step. Don't just draw the arrows, but actually label them to indicate what's being exchanged. Is it information flowing between departments? Are resources being allocated? Is one factor driving another? Being specific about these connections is really key to understanding the system's dynamics.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not just that things are linked, but understanding the nature of that link. What else should we look for in our system map?
The book then advises us to identify key actors and constraints. So who are the people or entities involved, both within and outside your immediate sphere?
Right, internal, external, customer.
Exactly. And also, what are the limitations, the rules, the available resources that are affecting how the system operates, the boundaries?
So recognizing the human element and the sort of boundaries of what's possible within the system. And the final step in this simplified systems thinking approach.
Finally, you evaluate interactions and feedback. Look for those sometimes unexpected ripple effects, where a change in one part of the system leads to changes in other parts, maybe in surprising ways. And importantly, identify any feedback loops, those cycles where a change in one element kind of amplifies itself within the system, either making a problem worse or maybe accelerating a positive trend in your 2025 scenario.
Okay, I can see how mapping that out would be powerful. The book uses Tim Cook's leadership at Apple as a prime example, right?
Yeah.
Someone operating within a truly massive and complex global system.
Oh, absolutely. Think about all the interconnected pieces of Apple's world. You've got design teams innovating this vast, intricate manufacturing network across continents with all the potential for disruptions in 2025.
Yeah, for sure.
A sophisticated software ecosystem that has to work seamlessly, global marketing campaigns, a massive retail and online sales operation. It's huge.
Mind-boggling complexity.
Totally. And Cook's success depends on understanding how all these elements interact. How a change in one area, like say a new chip design, can have cascading effects on everything from manufacturing capacity to software compatibility, and ultimately consumer demand in the years ahead. It's about seeing that entire intricate web.
Okay, so systems thinking helps us see the big picture, understand the interconnectedness. But what about coming up with truly original ideas? Especially in a world where AI can generate endless variations on existing stuff. The book dives into how to unleash our inner innovator or creativity, particularly in the age of AI in 2025.
Yes, and what's really encouraging here is the book's assertion that while AI is brilliant at iteration, at generating variations, true novelty in how we define problems, ask fundamentally new questions, generate truly original insights that remains a uniquely human strength as we move towards 2025. And the book offers practical techniques to break through those creative logjams and stimulate new ways of thinking.
Because as more routine tasks get automated in 2025, that uniquely human spark of creativity becomes even more valuable, right?
Absolutely.
For tackling problems in fresh ways, finding unexpected solutions, even thinking ethically about new tech, the book even cautions against something it calls digi-disease. The way just passively consuming digital content can kind of dull our creative edge.
Precisely. So what's the 2025 creativity workout the book recommends to keep those creative muscles in shape?
It starts with identify and remove blocks. What kind of mental obstacles does the book highlight that might be hindering our creativity as we head into 2025?
Well, it points to common creativity killers. Things like cynicism, the fear of making mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
An excessive need for control, maybe an overemphasis on achieving immediate success. It encourages you to recognize your own particular mental roadblocks and consciously challenge them, to maybe reframe failures as learning opportunity that can actually expand your thinking.
So it's about shifting that internal dialogue. What's the next step in this creativity workout?
The next step is to actively force mental shifts.
Force them. Yeah. The book suggests deliberately practicing looking at challenges from completely different perspectives. Using analogies is one powerful technique, like asking yourself, if this 2025 market trend were an animal, what kind would it be and why?
Okay, interesting.
It also touches on ideas similar to de Bono's 6 thinking hats, encouraging you to consciously switch between different mental lenses.
How so?
Like examining a problem purely from a factual standpoint, white hat, then from an emotional one, red hat, then focusing specifically on creative possibilities, green hat, optimism, yellow, caution, black, process, blue. Really practicing shifting between those for a specific challenge you're facing in 2025.
That sounds like a really effective way to break free from just habitual ways of thinking.
Yeah.
And the final piece of nurturing our creativity for 2025.
Well, it circles back actually to our earlier discussion about physical well-being.
Oh, okay.
The book underscores the importance of rest, mindful eating, and intentionally seeking out new sensory experiences.
Like what?
Could be listening to different kinds of music, exploring new forms of art, even just taking a different route home from work. These kinds of activities directly impact the chemical environment in our brain in ways that can spark those creative leaps.
Right.
It also advises us to actively carve out time for activities that get us away from just passively consuming information on screens all the time.
Makes sense. The book uses Oprah Winfrey as a compelling example, right? Someone who built a media empire through incredible creativity and that ability to constantly innovate.
Absolutely. What's so powerful about her story is how she consistently defied conventional approaches, combined diverse elements in really unexpected ways, and she wasn't afraid to experiment and evolve her format. She overcame numerous obstacles, had this remarkable intuitive understanding of human connection, which fueled truly groundbreaking content. It's about encouraging you to tap into that same kind of creative intelligence in your own field as we navigate the ever-shifting landscape of 2025.
Okay, this is all incredibly valuable. Now, there's one more crucial area the book tackles, which feels especially relevant for 2025 with all the tech advances: making good decisions in a world that often feels ethically gray. Applied ethics.
Yes, this is so important. The book emphasizes that 2025 will present complex ethical dilemmas, especially with advancing technology like AI.
Definitely.
And it argues that truly advanced applied thinking has to integrate ethical thinking. It's about ensuring that smart decisions are also right decisions. This involves conscious moral reasoning that goes beyond just gut instinct or perceived immediate gain.
Because the ethical considerations in 2025, things like AI bias, data privacy, the impact of automation on jobs, content moderation, clear precedents might not exist, right? And just relying on your gut feel could be really unreliable or even problematic.
Exactly. Gut feelings can be influenced by all sorts of biases we're not even aware of. So what's the book's approach to making more deliberate ethical choices in 2025?
How do they suggest we tackle it?
First, it recommends actively confronting dilemmas explicitly, using tools like thought experiments, or what they call devilish dilemmas, as practice.
Okay, like mental simulations.
Yeah, mentally running through hypothetical 2025 scenarios that involve clear ethical conflicts. What would you do if faced with this situation?
And what does that achieve?
Well, the next step is that these exercises help surface underlying values. They force you to see what you truly prioritize when values clash. Is it preserving life versus minimizing suffering? Individual freedom versus the greater good?
Right, understanding your own moral compass.
Exactly. Knowing your value hierarchy enables more deliberate, consistent, ethical decision-making when the pressure's on.
And how does the book suggest we think through these dilemmas? Is there a specific method?
It describes how their ethical thinking model combines multiple thinking styles: verbal, visual, recollective, and empathic thinking.
Okay, break that down a bit.
It encourages you to verbally articulate the dilemma clearly, to visualize the real human impact of different choices, to recall relevant past situations or principles, recollective, and crucially, to engage your empathy, to really try and understand the situation from the perspectives of everyone affected. It's about going beyond just calculating consequences.
So, a much richer, more human-centered approach to ethical choices. The book uses Mary Barra at General Motors as an example, doesn't it?
Yes, making those tough decisions about safety recalls or emission standards or the impact on employees during major transitions like the shift to EVs, especially in the competitive 2025 market.
Huge decisions with real-world consequences.
Exactly. And making those decisions responsibly requires consciously applying ethical principles to situations where the stakes are incredibly high for all the stakeholders involved. It's not just about the bottom line.
Wow, okay. So bringing it all together then, it seems like the core message is that the unique challenges of 2025 really demand new ways of thinking from all of us.
That's the essence of it.
And advanced brain training offers this powerful toolkit, doesn't it, to become that advanced applied thinker, someone who can handle the information overload, boost their brain's physical capacity, navigate complex systems, foster genuine creativity, and make sound ethical choices.
Yeah, it's not just about achieving success in the traditional sense, maybe. It's also about developing the mental resilience and adaptability to truly thrive in the future, whatever it throws at us.
So here's a final thought, something maybe for you to ponder as you move forward from this deep dive.
Okay.
As AI becomes even more deeply woven into the fabric of our lives in 2025, how will your ability to engage in truly novel thought, that human creativity, and crucially, that ethical reasoning, how will that set you apart?
That's a powerful question to consider. Or maybe thinking about those complex systems we discussed. What's one seemingly small change you could make, maybe in your own life or work, that might have surprisingly significant ripple effects in 2025?
Some really compelling questions to mull over. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive today.
My pleasure.
We really encourage you to reflect on these principles, the 3 I's, boosting your brain physically, systems thinking, creativity, ethical reasoning, and consider how you can start integrating them into your own approach to the challenges and the opportunities that 2025 will undoubtedly bring. Here's to sharpening our minds and making clearer, more impactful